Hi, Never Ending Pickle Pile. It's Kimberly from As Cards Turn. We're going to be doing an energy check in. First, we'll spin the crystals, and then I'll look at some cards and get some clarifiers. So let's get started. I hope all is well with you. This gets a little noisy for a second, and then I read them. Pile 1. Pile 1, you're being creative in blocking blocks. Okay? You got Aquarius in your chart somewhere. You know, you might be dealing with a Pisces. You're on edge a little bit. I feel that. You're trying to set something for the overall better of more than one party, I want to say, okay? So that's for pile 1. For pile 2. Okay, pile 2, you have a very soft energy. You're very busy, almost distracted, but you feel it, and maybe you're using regimens to heal or meditation or some sort in the healing process. You find clarity too, I feel that. And it helps you. That's your main priority is your health. Sorry, my hands have been painted. I've been painting all morning. So, my hands have paint on them. Let's go to 3. Pile 3. You're healing. You pulled back a little bit. I think other people want you or help with something, but you made it quite clear. I think you are not feeling up to par as you were. I think you were very busy, maybe very active, and now you're in a healing stage. The people around you know that you're in a healing stage too, so there is some compassion there. But you've been very working on projects or hobbies or something like that. So 3, you've been busy, but also pulling back from outside energies. Okay, let's get some crystals. Pile 1. You got sodalite. Speak your truth. So maybe there's something in there that you really have to get off your chest. Pile 2. Rhodonite. Find a way to forgive something. Find a way to forgive something. The truth in what pile 1 that I seen in the crystals with blocking something or creatively blocking the blocks or rushing into a situation that you just getting things off your chest, you want to end it quickly. That's the energy I'm feeling. This is for 3. 3 got 2. Garnic. Ignites your passion, which I thought in some kind of hobby you're doing, and eventually you create your own luck. So you count on yourself. Let's see if there were any blocks, especially for 1. Any blocks for their greatest good that we could tell them about in the current energy. 1 for any blocks we can tell them for the greatest good for their energy. You got the High Priestess of Fire on the bottom of the deck and rigid. So maybe you were rigid with something and it came fast in an expression in order to block something. You know what you want as well. You're carrying that High Priestess of Fire, that high passion, and there's loyalty there. But someone showed their true colors, and I think you didn't like it, and it reminded you of something about who you are. You stuck up for yourself. In 23, you made a choice to do it. Maybe you were a little rigid in there, but it was speaking the truth or acting in truth. This is for 2. 2, you got the Moon card, you know. There's something unknown, you know, that's you hold. There's something unknown. Maybe you don't know what energy is coming to you. Can I have one more on the Moon, please, for 2, for current energy? No. It was movement with something. Something was revealed. Congratulations. Successful energy is over you. And Princess of Spirit, there's been growth in something of an unknown with you. There was deceit in the bottom of the deck there. So, you know, we'll get that in a smaller breakdown. But keep that in mind for 2. For 3, the adventuring. And the hobby and the pulling back and the healing. What can we tell them about the blocks for their greatest good? For 3. For 3. Okay. Deceit came out again. So I want to put that there in the outside energy. Let's go for 3, please. You got the High Priestess of Water, holding emotions. You know, they could be upright too. You're just not saying nothing. You're being very pulled back, and I think that's a healing. You know, and Denal came upside down, but there's something, maybe you're looking at the outside energy, you don't believe, or something about the outside energy. We'll get a smaller breakdown, but there's been movement with that. And, you know, again, fragments, healing, having those fragments come to you with this card. You know, it's really highlighting your energy, that you need movement in your energy. You needed to heal something, you know. And you had to do it for yourself, something there. Let's get one more on this deceit for outside energy. Why is denial? Okay. Something in the beginning of something may have started off, you know, in a sense of belonging with it. I don't quite understand it. It's a very weak energy. It stabilizes because I think, you know, all 3 piles noticed the deceit, you know. One more on that belonging, please. Individuality, which I was feeling. Let's get a smaller breakdown on that, okay? I'm going to use this card, the News. Why is the deceit present here? The fledgling. Reconciliation, soul tree, close friends, a squad when I ask. So maybe there's something deceitful with a close friend. I don't know who this is for. I'm just reading the collective energy to all 3 piles. The outside energies. Can I have one for the fledgling, please? One for the fledgling. This is the News. There's intense passion, you know, that's heating up. Now, 1, you could say it's rigid. 3, it's definitely in a hobby form. You know, there's something that's working for you there, you know. I'll show you. So something young coming in. You know, something happened with more than one person, I want to say. Something happened with more than one person. Have the sense of belonging, one of that, please. Okay. Take the top card. Maybe you're stuck up because there's cheating here. There's evidence of cheating here. So if there's a relationship that either one of these piles are dealing with that, I'm curious to see what came with that. Lift off, a new boo, and rebound. So maybe there's something that in the piles that is unknown. Okay? because of the outside energy. Maybe there's a new relationship coming in with you. Somebody's smitten with you. This person, I think, is very quiet. You know, they're not saying nothing. They're trying to find a sense of belonging within relationships to see which chemistry is going. They're hoping for a reconciliation, but there's something underneath it, you know? Let's get a smaller breakdown yet. There's a vision on the bottom of the card with blocks, you know? So there's something that needs to be seen in all of us, right? A more playful energy, more meditation, more standing up for ourselves, more letting go of false beliefs, and gaining confidence is what this is saying on a double side. It won't let me close the deck. There's an oath that we all promised, I guess, to ourselves. This is freestyle. It's just coming in. Closed book. Somebody's seeking. They're observing. There's an observing energy there too with blocks. Maybe over obsessive, you know, and it's in a group, and you kind of know it. That's a side one. Okay. Let's see what the tarot can tell us. For pile 1, why did they have to use their passion and speak the truth? They did it creatively. Why are they blocking the blocks? They see them coming. So did you recognize something in one? Bottom of the deck. Closed. We'll do a tree. You got movement or something, you know, something you were thinking about, you know, there's a little pain there with one, okay? Something you had to go through. The hyphen, reared its head. You have the commitment, but I think whoever you're dealing with doesn't, you know. And King of Wands wants to come out sideways, so they feel maybe there's a loss in passion, or, you know, you showed evidence, you were committed with it, but the way you came across was rigid. You are thinking about them. Somebody juggling the Queen of Wands. We got the Princess of Fire in one as well. And you were loyal to this person. And I think it's happened more than one time. Yeah, Empress upside down. Yeah. You didn't want it to walk away. You didn't want to come across like that, but you know, there's something left out here, you know. You didn't know what to do, so you ended it, and that's it. Now you're at the stage of thinking about it, you know. Is there a beginning? Was this what I was supposed to do? But it might be mindset. You might have dodged a bullet. There was justice in that, okay? And I think you knew it, and I think that's why the creative block was there, you know what I mean? Let's look at you. Why is the High Priestess of Spirit here? Let's ask what that moon energy is. This one wanted to rear its head. It's the Fool upside down. There was no movement with something. And then you recognized that it was beneficial. Yes, you made a choice of some sort. You recognized it. You feel better over the outcome. Maybe in the beginning of the situation you weren't too pleased, but as you see, you know, you, by leaving it out and what it's saying, the movement was positive. It balanced you. So whatever that is for, you know, there was no movement. You weren't happy at the time, but it balanced you. Let's look at the movement for 3. I can't wait to get onto this squad. Let's look at the movement for 3. Well, 3, you know, you got Sun, you got Healing, you got the best card in the deck to start. Yes, and Justice. I mean, to add to that would be shameful. Let's look at the bottom of the deck. It was a victory for you. You took some time out. So I like that for 3. Can I have one on the chemistry? With heating up. Smoothing things out, let's look at this deceit. Why would they want to, and there's more than one person that wants to reconciliate. Overloaded, overburdened, responsibility, stress, burnt out problems, drudgery, obligations, and struggle. Maybe they're not telling you as much, to smooth things out. Let's look at the cheating card. What do we have for that? For the outside energy, the cheating card. Well, not in the present. They're not waiting, that's for sure. And they might be working on this, but they use money in some shape or way or form. That's the way they work on it. They're working on money things. So I don't really quite like that energy. Yeah, I don't like that energy. And they're doing it by themselves. Let's get another message for that. What is it to do? What is it to do with the money? This person is in solitude. They are alone. That's why the Nine of Cups come up. So sometimes they get confused with things, especially when it comes to relationships. They get very emotional with it. Yeah, and then they don't move. They almost get stuck in their own fears. They feel trapped. They needed to purge something, but they're looking for a foundation to do it, which I think is odd. Why these fears? They're not going inside themselves and looking at it. They're more quick, to slow things down. So they don't even look, they don't even think about it. They stop, go kind of energy, yeah. And that's what they work on. Yeah, they don't know what to say. They don't know what to do. Whoever this is for. They've tried several times, and I think they have a commitment issue. That's why the hyphenate came out earlier on when I asked about the deceit. I think they have commitment issues. Of course, the sense of belonging is why that card is there. Yeah, they don't know what to do again. Queen of Pentacles. You got the King of Pentacles on the other side, so they thought this was a match, but they were wrong. Why were they wrong? They juggled you the wrong way, I feel. Commitment issues. There goes the hyphenate. You were in this for a long haul, and you think about this. They think and come, they go and they go. They want to be committed, then they don't. Who needed to hear that? But there's an outside energy that just doesn't know what to do. They don't know what to think about this pain. They don't know how to commit. This was upside down. And yet they have strong passion, so they don't say what they truly mean. Or maybe tell you that they feel like they need a sense of belonging. 1905. Yeah. Let's get one more on that. Squad. Can I have one more on the squad, please? South Node. So they're learning. The world. This new cycle they're in. One more. They want fulfillment. They're wishy-washy type of an energy, and they're tempted. There's temptation here with fulfillment, and then they pull back. That comes strong with the King of Wands, and then there's no message with it. There's no completion with it, and then you're just left with this. committed to just the pain? Is one of you just looking at the bad times, not the good times at all? Or is it being brought up constantly? Sorry. I don't want to mix my cards. I mean, I feel like it's a closed book. Yeah, there was action taken. One took action. What did two do? You knew there was something that triggered you. There was disharmony that you were dealing with. And then you're watching. You're watching a movement as well for three. Let's see what that is with a smaller breakdown. These are ideas or movements that are just starting. So let's see. Watching for three. What can you tell us for the news? Watching for three. Cuffing season. Single and ready to mingle. Ready for a relationship or on the hunt. Somebody willing to open their heart in three. Can I have three's energy for watching? Three's energy for watching. Obsession, physical attraction, sexual appeal. So there's somebody that you have an eye on, or somebody has their eye on you, you know, and they think that they like you. You know, they think you're attractive. And one more for the physical and sex appeal. One more for the... Okay. We got dreams, messages, telepathically. You know, astral travel, spirit guides, signs. So you're attracted to somebody. Maybe they're spiritual just like you are, you know. Maybe they're the same interests as you are, but you're at a distance. And you'll get an offer of some sort for three. Triggers. Let's look at triggers. You're contemplating something, but there's an unexpected storm. That's what you believe, too. You believe if you start this, and you react, and that's what you don't want. So you've been spiritually guided to try and not to react to a storm, you know. And this too shall pass with the timing card on the bottom. Something unexpected. After a bad approach of something or a bad storm, you get something unexpected that you're happier with. That's for two. Why is this Jupiter here? Let's hold. Well, you're reflecting shadow work. You know, one's going through shadow work. I feel that. Let's see. One more for the shadow work for one. One more for the shadow work for one. Too many cards. One card for the shadow work for one. One card for the shadow work for one. Okay. You're just pulling back, you know. There's somebody around you that's just pouring in the gossip. Okay? There's somebody around you that's going through their shadow work. They're not quiet about it either. And they feel left out, you know, and they're just doing too much. This person is doing too much. And there's a graduation here from that. You know, you've been tiptoeing for a minute, you know, and they count every kind of receipts. It's like, look what I did, look what I did, look what I did for you, look what I did for you. And you pulled back. And you also reflect on what they're, you know, you have your own way of finding out what they're all up to. You know, I have that energy here with you where you're just listening and observing, but you're really gaining a lot of knowledge. And you're seeing where they're shadow workers, you know, where the action should be taken for yourself, because this card is present. And don't forget who you are. What are they spreading? Light bulb moments, sudden realizations, feeling inspired is insightfulness and awareness. You're aware of something with this. Oh yeah, red flagged. I knew it. I just knew it. One, you know, you seen a red flag. You did. You said, that's it, I'm done. Boom, lightning effects, you know. Wow, the energies in this is very prominent. Let's see what they're up to. I don't know, there's some suffering, you know, they're not going to say nothing. Hopefully, you know, they'll get assistance from their spirit guides, whoever's dealing with this, or the cheating, or whatever was here, the sense of belonging that is needed, and the learning here with the South Node. Let's see what's on the bottom of the deck. Toxicity. So maybe all that will end, you know, just let go of it. You know, we all find strength. And separation and distance creates a different kind of balance. Okay. Destiny. Anyway, this is a good energy to look at. There was a lot there. You can go back if you want, but there's a lot there. There's something, you know, maybe somebody needed to hear in all three piles. I thought it was a very intuitive reading. So thank you for sharing it with me. Thank you for supporting my channel, and I'll see you soon. Take care, never ending.